Welcome to part 3 of our series on Waterworld. And yes, it is the Trimaran, which converts to a fast attack combat ship. On the cover we've got Warrior Mariner and the Enforcer manning the ship itself. To show you how big the box of this thing is, there's the Mariner in comparison. It is enormous. It's been taking up a ton of shelf space, sitting around, waiting for me to open it. So I'm glad that day is finally here. I got this thing for ridiculously cheap, by the way. It was like 20 bucks. And it's still sealed. It's pretty amazing how little people want this enormous chunk of plastic. So the Trimaran converts to a fast attack combat ship, which is pretty accurate to the movie. It has all sorts of tricks that the Mariner's built into his boat. It boasts a 21-inch high mast when it's fully extended. Assembly required, which is a sticker, so I don't know, maybe they spelled assembly required wrong. Once again, of course, not intended for water use, even though it's a giant boat. Contents: one vehicle. On the enormous back of this thing, you can see more of its features. It has the egg beater sail that he has on it in the beginning, a collapsible boom and sail, while the boat itself has a 19 3/4-inch span. The standing control unit, which is very similar to what he has in the setup he's got in the movie. Figures can swing around on the rigging, 3 multi-position gunner stations, 2 firing spear launchers, carries up to 6 heroes and villains. It'd have to be heroes and villains because you've got 4 mariners and his one friend because they didn't make the woman and the little girl who's got the map on her back that are kind of pivotal to the plot. But you know what the inner box looks like. You can tell there's already lots and lots of pieces. There's a baggie with guns and ropes and launchers, another baggie with net riggings and plastic things. This looks to be the center mast, the decking, and the bridge that connects 3 hulls together. I believe this is one of the outer pontoons. This is kind of challenging to get everything in frame because they're so massive. Oh. No, this is the central pontoon. Just ridiculous. And there's wheels in the bottom. That was the stern, and at the bow there's a wheel as well. Lots of texturing to kind of simulate the rust, which is really nicely done. Lots of molding work done in it. As you can see, there's quite a bit of detailing along the hull with ropes snaking around, and hatches and decay and patchwork, things like that. And lastly, the third enormous pontoon and the assembly instructions, which I'm very grateful for because there's a lot going on. Yeah, lots to do. A little disappointed that there's no Kenner catalog included with this, but we can always fill out the how'd you like it survey, I guess. But I'm gonna assemble this thing and be right back. Sweet Christmas. Well, I finished step 1 and it's already as big as my table pretty much where I film videos, so this is gonna get hairy. I mean, just look at this thing. Like, there's the Mariner for scale again. Right, I think this is bigger than the original Millennium Falcon Kenner made. Well, here it is all put together. The only way to get it all in the full frame is from way back here, and this isn't even with the mast fully extended yet. So it's got a ways to go still to its full potential. So yeah, this thing is an absolute beast to put together. Not so much in the larger pieces like you might expect. They snap together really easily, but this netting was just miserable. It attaches on these 6 little awful tab things that are just made of misery. And they actually give you way too much netting, which, you know, this looks like the same kind of netting that they used on Jurassic Park stuff, so I'm sure they just had acres of it laying around. But without trimming it, it's not ever going to look quite right, and lots and lots of fiddling. Like, this is about 20 minutes, and this looks terrible. It looks like I spent no time on it at all. But trying to figure out which exact holes to put it through so it all lines up right is just maddening. Sorry it looks like ass, but I just can't spend any more time with it right now. So first impressions are, of course, it's absolutely enormous. It rolls along pretty well on its 2 wheels. It squeak horribly, but it doesn't really sit level. I don't know if that's due to warping in these cross beams or just the way it was designed, so it kind of rocks back and forth like a boat would. I'm not sure there. You know, it's not terribly heavy for how big it is. It's lots of thin plastic around, mostly air, so there's not a lot of heft to it. The heaviest part is actually the mast. Here's the egg beater mask. It does spin freely, just like it does in the movie, although I don't think blowing on it would cause it to spin at all. But to deploy the big sail, which is the, you know, the big showstopper moment here, it's a couple of steps. First you pull this down, and it locks into this, so these become slightly thinner, but you know, not flush by any means. Then you open these two doors here, and inside the doors is the sail and the boom. So you pull the sail up, connect it to the top of the mast, and then pull. And if I pull the camera back across the room, you can see the entire thing fully deployed. I have no words. There is another action feature, which you can see the Mariner holding on to right now, which is a line that connects all the way at the top of a mast to a pull tab, so you can yank on it and have him swing around, which he does quite a bit in the movie. He kind of swings from side to side, so that is a good kind of simulation of that if you can time it right, I suppose. Two of the guns are spring-loaded harpoons, and the weapon on the bow is just a molded crossbow that doesn't do anything. And the control station in the back has a convenient foot peg. There's foot pegs all over this thing really, so you can put people just about anywhere. Due to the massive size of this thing and the difficulties of getting good angles with it and all of it in the frame with my camera, I think I'm just gonna switch to a bunch of still pictures to show you details and different angles of the ship that I just can't quite get to work with video. It absolutely dominates the room that it's in. It's that big. The colors are very much in line with the figures we've looked at so far, so it all hangs together really well. The detailing on it is very well done, considering the amount of surface area they had to cover. I was kind of disappointed that the mast isn't spring-loaded or something and shoots up out of the hiding spot like it does in the movie, but it is a neat feature that you can, you know, raise and collapse the mast all you want. Plenty of room for figures all over it. I think the biggest letdown and thing that caused me to swear the most was the netting. It really adds to the look of the thing overall, but it's such a pain to put on. I think it would take you a decent amount of time to invest into it to make it look, you know, just right. It's so big, I just don't know how I'm gonna store this thing. I might just try to break it down and put it back in its box, because I just don't have the space to display it anywhere. I don't think it disappoints. It had a lot to live up to from the size of the box and the representation on the box, and I think it did that. It's definitely unique. Kenner really went for it on this, on a toy line that I don't think did that well. Like, you just gotta respect the effort on this thing. It's huge and really cool to see in person. Finally, it's just been sitting on my shelves for some time. Although the tooling is very nice, it doesn't match, like, say, like a Terror Drome or the G.I. Joe's Night Raven, you know, something else on that scale, because I think this is about the length of a Sky Striker, but Hasbro's just construction and detailing on those things, I think, it makes this look a little sloppy, I think, in comparison. But for the Waterworld line and for a licensed toy line, I just did not expect this vehicle. But yeah, thanks very much for watching, and I don't think the rest of the series can live up to this, but what can, really? We'll see you in the next video.